Breaking news, the Grizzlies have suspended Ja Morant. This is updating the story from last night, the early hours of the morning that I posted coming from the Lakers game against the Grizzlies. It saw the Grizzlies lose. Ja Morant, frankly, pouting in the fourth quarter. It had some very pointed comments after the game about the Grizzlies coaching staff. Now the Grizzlies have dropped the hammer and have suspended Ja for conduct detrimental to the team. So what is this going to mean for the Grizzlies and Ja Morant moving forward? I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you do subscribe right here to the channel. Say it all the time, but 70% of you watching this, you're not subscribed. Let's fix that. Hit that subscribe button. So take a look. We've got Ja Morant getting suspended. The Grizzlies announced it. Now, this comes on the heels of this happening last night. When Ja Morant, after losing to the Lakers, it was a poor performance by Ja Morant. I thought his energy level was low. The crowd was egging him on a bit and was yelling at the coaching staff, asking why they weren't subbing Ja back into the game. But that was omitting the fact that the Grizzlies had gone on a big run in the second quarter, mostly with Ja on the bench. And it was the bench unit that did a really nice job putting the Lakers on their heels and just out-competing them. And so Ja, who wasn't playing particularly well, it wasn't a surprise to me that the Grizzlies stuck with their reserve unit a little bit longer in the fourth quarter when the game was being decided, because that was the group that had success previously. And Ja wasn't playing particularly well. He wasn't getting into the paint. He wasn't hitting his shots. He was 0 of 6 from 3, and they were mostly wide open threes. The Lakers basically dared him to shoot threes, and he shot them. And I mean, he punished the paint on the rim on these shots. So he finishes with 8 points, 7 assists, 1 steal, and just 21% from the field. And there were plays, I even highlighted on a video, it's going to go out for Lakers Nation in just a bit here, where in the fourth quarter, in crunch time, Ja, you could see he just kind of went through the motions. He was not really there. He was checked out. He only took 1 shot in the fourth quarter and looked very disengaged with the team. Okay, so that is the context of this. And then after the game, Ja Morant was asked what he could have done differently, and he said, go ask the coaching staff. Go ask him, meaning Thomas Isolo, about what could be done. He said they had a whole spill in here. So the sentiment is that, you know, John, the coaching staff, probably had some words. That's my guess. There were probably some words said after the game. Ja did. In the earlier video, I broke down why I don't think it's fair to imply that the Grizzlies were somehow trying to deny the media from being able to speak to their coach. That the coach didn't wind up having any comments on this. Isolo didn't, because the media didn't get a chance to ask him that stuff, because Ja Morant was ready to speak before he normally would be. So the media ran over to him. Isolo did his presser while Ja was talking and then left, because if there's no more questions, he's not obligated to stay. Anyway, I did a full breakdown of the whole situation earlier. You guys can check out that video. But he was asked again, what do you think? What about your energy? Looked like he was low energy out there. He said, go ask the coaching staff why. Yeah. Again, when Morant was asked if he believed he should have played more, he gave a similar response. Ask the coaching staff. So he's putting everything on the coaching staff. Why did you have low energy? Ask the coaches. What do you think you could have done differently? Ask the coaching staff. Ja Morant played 31 minutes. The Grizzlies have been using shorter substitution patterns, but they're trying to be a very active and engaged and energized defense right now. Morant's frustration was visible earlier in the game. Keep in mind, this is coming off of Ja Morant hitting a game winner against the Suns. That was their last game. Prior to the Lakers game, Ja Morant hit a game winner against the Suns with about 7 seconds or less on the shot clock. Like, big uplifting moment, right, for the Grizz. And then in this game, Ja is pouting and frustrated and annoyed. Wasn't aggressive, wasn't getting into the paint. I thought the Lakers defense did a good job walling him off as well and forced him into some tough shots, and he was not hitting them. But Morant subs in at 5:33 mark of the fourth quarter and looked disinterested. Again, that was the moment where, from sitting there, I can tell you, the crowd had been yelling at the coaching staff to put Morant back in. And then Morant said something in response to the crowd agreeing with them. I did not catch. Nobody on press row could understand what Ja said. It was loud and nobody quite caught it. But he was not happy, is the bottom line. He's not happy with the way that all played out. Thomas Isolo was not available to answer questions about the Ja Morant situation, but to me, it was more of a timing thing. I won't go into detail about how that all played out again, but because that's on the earlier video. But what happens now with Ja Morant suspended? Let's get into that, and we'll get there in 30 seconds. Don't go anywhere.
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using code Bulletin. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
Okay, so now if you're the Grizzlies, what do? I mean, Ja Morant is your guy, right? Ja Morant is your superstar. And you've got him under contract for the next 3 years, almost $40 million this season, $42 million next season. He's extension eligible next summer. I'll tell you this, if this kind of behavior from Ja continues and there's these kind of problems that continue, there's no chance the Grizzlies are extending Ja Morant. No one would want to sign up for more of this nonsense. $45 million in a few seasons. The challenge for them is going to be, let's say they decide, you know what, we're done. We need to move on. And frankly, I kind of think they do. I know they traded Des Bane, but I wonder if the Grizz aren't regretting that and wishing they had just traded Ja Morant. Now, I don't know that they could have, honestly. Des Bane, I think, is a player a lot more teams would be interested in trading for than Ja. I mean, look at the headache that you're having to deal with here. And he's a difficult player to build around. He's not shot the three ball particularly well over his career. He is an incredible athlete. He is one of the most dynamic players we've got in the NBA. His ability to contort and finish in the paint is absolutely unreal. He's an exciting player when he's on. But man, this is a lot. This is a lot that the Grizzlies have put up with over the years. The suspensions, all kinds of things going on with him. Now you've got this situation. And keep in mind, and this is what everybody, don't lose sight of this. The Grizzlies fired Taylor Jenkins last year with 9 games left in the season, in part, not entirely, but in part because Ja didn't like his offense. Ja didn't like that he wasn't running a lot of screens, didn't like his role in that offense. Okay, Thomas Isolo, the assistant coach, takes over. Now Ja doesn't like these guys. Ja doesn't like the current coaching staff. Go ask the coaches. He's upset. He's pouting. He's not playing hard. The common denominator is Ja Morant. The common denominator is Ja Morant. And if the Grizzlies want to move him, the problem is now we're in an NBA where teams are essentially allergic to long-term salary. They don't want to see multiple years left on a contract. They're too concerned about that when we're looking at keeping under, say, the second apron or even the first apron for some of these clubs. Plus, how many teams need a point guard right now? There are actually a few that do. But how many teams right now, let's say it's a team that needs a point guard, the Houston Rockets, the Dallas Mavericks, while they're waiting for Kyrie Irving to return, there's others. But how many teams right now say, yes, I need a point guard. Yes, I want to stack up enough salary to go get Ja Morant. And yes, I want to pay Ja Morant, almost $100 million over the next, $89 million, let's call it, into the future, in addition to what we pay him this year. So in total, I want to pay Ja Morant almost $20 million over the next 3 years. And lastly, I see what's going on in Memphis, and I want to be part of the Ja Morant experience. Sign me up for that. I have a hard time believing that any team right now is saying that. Now, never say never in the NBA. I think the Grizzlies, it's time. It's time to move on from Ja Morant. It's time to clear the air, and it's time to start a new era in Memphis. And you know what? Given how the West is right now, and I know Jaren Jackson just signed an extension. He just got that new deal done. It was a renegotiate and extend. If you need to move on from Jaren Jackson, okay, you have that conversation. It's time to turn the page in Memphis.
Is it?
It's time. They started it with the Des Bane trade. The Des Bane, Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., big three, just never really got to where they needed it to go. They don't have the cleanest books moving into the future. But you know what? The West is really tough right now. Really, really tough. And I think that the Memphis Grizzlies have some really interesting picks that could turn into something. that could turn into something. You could pivot. I think they've got something in Cedric Coward. I was very impressed with him last night. He was extremely physical, very, very good. They may have the Phoenix pick coming in this year. Could be the Washington pick. Oh, and Don, I didn't even see. I was on the other screen and I didn't even see. Here's Donnie Freeman to weigh in on Ja Morant getting. I'm looking at pick protections over here, trying to see what Memphis' situation is like, and didn't even see him over here.
That's a wall of text. No wonder you were stuck in. You were absorbed in that. Look at all that text.
I was lost in trying to figure out the bottom line. Memphis can tank if they want to. And in the Western Conference, with Wemby doing what Wemby's doing and all the good teams that they've got out west, maybe it's time to just pull the plug. At the very least, right now, they should be seeing what I don't know they can get a lot. Donnie, what do you think about Ja Morant's trade value?
Right now is not the time. You're selling really low, frankly.
Yeah.
He's not looked pretty great. His usage is still pretty high, but the minutes have really tapered off. He seems to be, pretty disinterested in whatever's going on with the way they're using him. And that was a similar complaint he had last year. So I don't know if that's just a common denominator thing or not. But right now is just you're selling pretty low, right? So I would personally try to sell at a higher point. Maybe that was – well, they kind of kicked it into gear. Maybe that was the offseason because he got much better after the Taylor Jenkins move. But, you're selling low. But regardless, if you just have to do it, then you just have to do it.
Yeah, I think that you need to rip the Band-Aid off. And I agree, you may not be able to do it right now. And I can't think of a team. Like, are the Houston Rockets saying the Rockets need a point guard? Are the Houston Rockets going to come in and say, I want that point guard to be Ja Morant?
The funny thing is when I was getting ready to come on, I was doing just a little bit of digging, seeing the reaction and I saw the Reddit people were kind of like, oh, so what about this trade for, the Houston Rockets, et cetera? And there's a lot of different mixed things. They were like, sounds like a guy who could use some heat culture, things like that. So it seems like, fans of other teams are still interested in Ja as a prospect for their team, and they should be. He's still got so much talent. But I just think that right now, with as much money as he makes, he's a hard player to try to trade for. Unless you're going to get the peak Ja back, right? So that's kind of where it's tricky.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I do think a locked-in Ja Morant can still be an incredible player in this league, but man.
But the game before that, he had 28, 8, and 7 in 30 minutes. Like we're talking about this recent game where he had a bad night, but the game before, he was really good.
So I think if you're Memphis, you try to repair this if you can right now, and you try to get him getting back to playing well. But if I'm Memphis, I don't forget this. And if the opportunity is there by the trade deadline, if the opportunity is there next summer, of course, salvage as much as you can, put on a happy face, smiles. We talked it out. Everything's fine. That's what you want to put out there publicly. But don't forget this. And if there's an opportunity by the trade deadline, if there's an opportunity next summer to pull the plug and move on and turn the page and move into a new era, I think it's time. And I don't know where he would go. I don't know what the best landing spot is. It's tough to think of one that makes a lot of sense. But if the opportunity is there, I think you take it.
Does Cedric make you feel that way?
In part, that definitely helps.
He kind of helps me if I were the Memphis Grizzlies. If the way he's really come on, he makes me feel more secure with that decision. And you've got JJJ. It could just be a pivot. You don't really need to do a full on teardown.
Well, that's true. If you do hang on to Jaren Jackson, I think Coward to me fits what Memphis basketball is supposed to be, right? We think about the Zach Randolph, the grit and grind and all of that. Man, he plays with a lot of that. Yeah, he plays with a lot of that.
He's nice. I like him a lot. So Ja's just kind of like, Ja's a great player. Again, I'm still that don't hear what I'm not saying thing that you always say. It's just maybe he doesn't fit culturally, maybe not anymore, but it's hard to say that when he still has really good games mixed in there because we know the talent that he is, but they do have an opportunity here. But there's also for the record, an opportunity where, with Coward being as good as he is, being an older player at 22 years old, he is more on the timeline with Ja, with JJJ. So maybe at some point they're able to rebound and figure it out and go from there. They've still got some nice pieces in theory, like KCP and some other guys there. But yeah, like I was saying, it may be in the best interest to just rip the Band-Aid off, but there's opportunities for other things. But I do like Cedric a lot, and he would make me feel pretty comfortable with that.
I think
it does better still, but just I think that the runway is,
But culturally, if they want to get back to what Memphis is, what they've been, what the team that fans fell in love with, the Zach Rand, the Zebo, the Marcus Saul, that team,
Tony Allen,
the Tony Allen, yeah. Which I've ran into Tony Allen in the airport here in Memphis, by the way. But if you want to get back to that, I think you've already got a piece that's along those lines in Cedric Coward, and I think that's what they need to pivot back towards. That no nonsense hustle. I'm going to lace him up and play every night. Not this, I'm going to go out there and pout and play half-ass because I'm mad that I didn't get subbed back in early enough in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, he looked really disinterested. I was in and out of moving, so I wasn't able to watch a lot of the game. But towards the end, when he was playing, and he was very unaggressive, looked very disinterested, and that's one thing that really stood out to me. And it wasn't the typical Ja that, because when he wants to, he'll put his head down and he'll get to the basket, and nobody can stop him. Right? It wasn't typical Ja. That's what I saw out there.
Yeah, exactly. It was not typical Ja, and I thought the Lakers defense did a really nice job on him, doing what they needed to in order to force him into some tough shots. He missed a lot of tough shots too. We have to say, that probably affected his mood to some degree, that he's taking these shots and he just keeps missing them and missing them and I mean, that it's hard to get going when you just keep, clanking one shot after another. He went 0 for 6 from deep. So that's going to add, I think, some frustration for Ja Morant, but nonetheless, you can't do what he did. And especially in a city like Memphis, where it's all supposed to be heart and hustle and grit and grind, you can't be the opposite of that. And that's what Ja Morant was last night. So I think this is a very worthy suspension by the Grizzlies, especially after the comments afterwards and all of that. And again, if I'm the Grizz, I move on from this. I move forward. I put on a happy face, but I don't forget this.
Yeah, I agree with you. So really quickly, before we end, I was doing the digging on a couple different sites, like I said, and I stumbled on NBA Reddit, which I don't actually use. You use it much more than I do, actually. And the replies to this were several things. They were saying, one of them I thought was pretty interesting. I'm sure he'll respond to this in a positive way. And they say, we may have to ask the coaches to find out how he'll respond to this. And then they're like, there's 2 more ways he could respond, as a king or as a wizard. And then there are other people. The other people were saying, like I said, we would welcome him. And then also some guys were like, oh, the guys are soft these days. Imagine a coach that's coaching this and that. So it's all up and down with Ja, man. So
could you imagine if the Kings did trade for him?
That's like peak Kings.
That would be the most Kings thing.
You know what? To be fair, if they could rebalance their roster, it wouldn't be the worst decision.
I mean, they do, but
you could get rid of maybe that's a straight up.
You've got Russ trade, and Schroeder now.
Is that a straight up Zach LaVine trade? The salary might match there. They're pretty close.
But there's so many more years on that. Let me say this: if I was Memphis, I think I would do that.
Would you?
I think I would get Zach LaVine for Ja Morant if I could. And man, that's a long fall. Like, Zach LaVine was untradeable for a while, and now I'm saying, if I'm Memphis, because of Zach LaVine's contract situation, I can just wash my hands of all of this. I think I might do it.
Zach's great too, by the way. He doesn't get talked about it though. He's great.
No, especially if they still had.
We lost you.
Oh, hold up. Hold up. You can still hear me, right?
No, I can hear you.
Okay. My camera overheated. But anyway, so I could actually see them doing that. I think that could make some sense.
That could be a thing, I guess. Somebody is a Grizz fan and they're so mad that we threw this out there.
Exactly.
But there's a few options is the key point. So,
all right. Well, since nobody can see me anyway, everybody in the comment section, let us know, what do you think the Grizzlies should do now? with Ja Morant that he has indeed been suspended. Thank you again, everybody. Make sure you do subscribe right here to the channel. Till next time, see ya and stay safe.